What's up, speeders? I'm Hafiz and welcome back to Speed Creek TV, and this is the Porsche 911 Carrera S. Not the new one, the 992.1, not the .2, but I'm gonna drive it. But before I do, I want to show you a few things why I think that this is maybe the last great iteration of the 911. So first, let's go. Come here. First, you got the front end. With the new one, it has like this split bumper design. The new Carrera S has a split bumper design, and I know looks are subjective, but I don't really like it. I mean, it's fine, but I don't really like it. I prefer this so much more. It just looks more subtle, you know, it's a bit more classy. And then if we go to the back, let's go. So with this generation, you've got the two rear lights, obviously, and then you've got this central bar right here that connects the two rear lights. A lot of people don't like it. I personally don't mind it. But the problem with the new one is that they have redesigned rear lights a little bit. And the entire rear lights, the bar, the Porsche logo is like one big assembly. And I don't know, it looks like it's drooping down. If you take a look at the new 911 Carrera S from the back, it looks like it's drooping down. It's like the rear end just sort of drags. It's weird. I just don't like it very much. And then there's the interior. Inside you get this drive mode switch, right? And it also has the sport response button. Now in the new one you also get that if you get the car with the sport chrono package, but in the new one it's red. Now it stands out a bit more, and I kind of get why they did that, but it looks a little tacky. I much prefer this. It just sort of blends with the environment of the car, and I think it's just so much better. But really my biggest gripe with this car, not this car, the new 911, is, well, the lack of an analog tachometer. I think Porsche did a really great job blending the analog and the digital in this car. It looks really great. The new one is fully digital. Now, don't get me wrong, Porsche's digital instrument cluster is actually really good. It's very high res, it's very sharp, very bright, and it also looks really good. It's not too cluttered, the menu is not a mess, but I just think this is more romantic. I mean, it's a nice blend of digital and analog, and you can choose the colors of the tachometer from yellow to green to red. Yeah, this is just so much better. Porsche, please Porsche, just bring this back, please. Okay, enough nitpicking. Let's forget about the new facelift for now and focus on this car instead. So, how does it feel to drive? Now, this generation of the 911 Carrera S, this is the 992.1, it has 450 horsepower, so that's 30 more than the previous one, which was the 991.2. Same engine, more power. Now, the new one, the 992.2, so that's the new one, also just came out, and that has another extra 30 from this one, so that's 480 horsepower in the new Carrera S, and that's the same amount of power as the 997 Turbo. That is a lot of power. Now, this being a daily-ish sports car, I think 450 horsepower is plenty enough. In fact, if anything, a lot of 911 purists didn't really like this engine because it's turbocharged, but well, let's put it in Sport Plus and let's see what's what. Well, as you can tell from my expression, it's obviously very fast. I've been driving this car the whole day, and it is a whole lot of horsepower right there. Oh, let's put into manual mode. All right. Yeah, so it's fast. It's twin turbocharged, and you know, it's a turbocharged engine, so there has to be a lag. There must be, right? It's physics, it's science, it's mechanical, so there has to be a lag. But from where I'm sitting, I did feel a little lag. I think it was like about 3,000 RPM ish, but really, it's fine. You know, it's still a great engine. It's still there's still a lot of power, a lot of fun, and okay, be professional, Hafiz. Be professional. And the thing is, in this car, so it has like a shorter gear ratio than the previous gen. From first to third gear, the gear ratio is a bit shorter. So what that means is that it reaches the RPM red line quite a bit quicker, and I think that's why it feels so fun, because even at low to medium speeds, you have to change the gears quite a lot. You know, you go through a corner and you go through it at medium speeds, and you still have to change the gears. And I think that just makes the experience more fun, as opposed to like with a car that has a longer gear ratio. You know, you go through a corner, and because the red line is so high, you don't have to change the gears, and I think that makes it a lot less fun. Oh. First gear in this car is 69 kilometers an hour, nice. Whereas, for example, the BRZ, the automatic has like a really long gear ratio, and first gear was like 112 kilometers an hour. So I prefer shorter gear ratio. And of course, speaking of the transmission, it's a PDK. Honestly, one of the best, if not the best, transmission for a sports car. It just shifts. It just, you know, pull the gear, and it just drops. It just changes. It's so fast, and it's very unique. It just sort of kicks you in the back. Absolutely love it. A lot of car makers now, like BMW, they're switching away from dual clutch transmissions to ZF autos. I think those are actually really good as well. Very fast, very excellent. But you know, the way dual clutch changes is just so unique, and you know, in a sports car, it's just a really great experience. Love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah, Porsche, please don't get rid of the PDK. Not in the 911. As long as the 911 has a internal combustion engine, don't get rid of it. Just keep using PDKs, man. Handling wise, well, we're on public roads. To be honest, maybe I'm not the best driver to tell you about how it feels, but and you know, we're on public roads, so we can't really like explore the limits, obviously, not legally at least. But as far as I can tell, it's really, really good. You can tell it's rear engine. The front end does feel a little lighter. Sorry. Than say front engine rear wheel drive cars. If you really push it, you can sort of feel the front end kind of pitter pattering, or whatever the word is. It's a bit twitchy when you really go through the limits, but I think it still handles really well. It's very composed. You won't easily upset this car, and well, in terms of the steering feel itself, it's a little numb, but well, what do you expect? It's electronically assisted, right? It's an electronically assisted power steering, and well, this is about as good as it gets. It's gonna feel a little numb always, but I think Porsche has done a pretty good job. Most manufacturers have done a pretty good job. I think Mini in particular is also really good. Mercedes also, Mercedes not so much, but I think Mini, Porsche has nailed it. BMW as well. So not much to complain there. Just, you know, it's electronic. Set your expectations. In terms of comfort, the car is also actually very comfortable. You know, for a sports car, it's actually very refined, and it's not harsh. You know, like when you go through a rough road, sometimes a car that's harsh, you know, you can feel like the bounce. You can feel the bounce like from the suspension. In this car you don't. It's very supple. It's a bit more dampered. It's no Rolls Royce, it's not Mercedes, but I think for a sports car it's more than acceptable. See? Bit of a bump there, totally fine. And of course you have the lift kit as well, so the car, so you don't have to worry about ground clearance if you're going through rough road, through a big speed bump. We're going through con block roads here, and you know, it's still very comfortable. I think a Mini is slightly less comfortable than this. It's not harsh at all. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even in Jakarta, I do believe, like, if you live somewhere in the south, maybe, or maybe in central Jakarta, you can totally drive this car on a weekday. You know, visibility is all right. Maybe it's not the best, but I think no glaring issues there. No, you know, blind spots are fine. It's comfortable. Fuel consumption, well, that depends on how you're driving. But as a general rule, you can probably get like 9 kilometers to the liter. In terms of comfort, there's only one issue that I have with this car. There's quite a lot of road noise. Not too bad, but it's there. And when you go through roads where there's like a lot of rocks and pebbles, like, let's see if I go through here, see if you guys can hear it. Like, the rear tires kick those rocks and pebbles through the wheel well, and you can really listen to it in the car. So yeah, maybe soundproofing from back there could improve a little bit, but it's a sports car, so maybe not that big of a priority. As a whole, in terms of comfort, I like it. Very comfortable. So also, this car has a sport response button. We are right now 50 kilometers an hour, 5th gear, and here's what I want to show you guys. I don't know if you can listen to this. We're in 6th gear now. Sport response button. Oh, it immediately drops to 2nd gear just like that. Oh, that's the thing about PDK. It's so fast. The downshifts is so fast. Some say Ferraris are faster, a bit more violent, but honestly, that is fast enough for me. To be honest, unless your name is Mark Webber or Sean Glisle, you're not really going to find anything to complain about the 911's handling, especially when you're driving on public roads. Of course, since this is a car for public roads, let's deep dive into the interior and features of this car. Inside, it's very modern even 5 years later. You get this 10.9-inch screen right here. I think it's responsive enough. With the infotainment system, it's either you either like it or you don't, right? I personally like this more than BMW's and Mercedes' system. It also has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great because that's what most people use anyway. But it's still wired, so no wireless Apple CarPlay just yet. So prepare to bring a cable. And then you also, in the center console, you get this teeny tiny gear lever. It kind of looks lacking in photos and videos, but honestly, now that I've used it, it feels great. It does the job. The only thing is that it doesn't have an indicator light on the gear lever, so you have to take a look at the tachometer right here if you want to know what gear you're in. And then right above that, you have the aircon controls. You got switches for the aircon, love it. You got dual zone, and then you have the audio knobs as well, and other buttons for the aircon controls, which is great. Physical switches, love to see it. Porsche, never get rid of this. I know you're doing digital now with Taycan. Get rid of that. Put this in. So much better. And then above that, you have the air vents, the central air vents right here. Fun fact: if you go to Porsche's customization website, their configuration website, you can actually customize the color of the vents. So that's kind of cool. Above that, you have 5 switches. You got the hazard lights, traction control. You got the damper settings, quick access button, and most importantly in Jakarta, the lift kit. Love it. And they all look great. They all feel really nice. Absolutely love to see it. Over here, of course, you have the steering wheel. I think it's absolutely perfect. The size, the thickness, the feel, everything about it is perfect, really. The buttons are a bit confusing at first, but after about like 10 minutes with the car, you get used to it. It's pretty easy. And then, the pedal shifters, they feel okay, but if you have tried the pedal shifters in the 911 GT3 RS, those are magnetic, actuated or something. And they feel so much better than this, and I wish that maybe Porsche could make it as an option in the Carrera S. That would be cool, right? And again, the dials, absolutely love it. Perfect blend between the digital and the analog. I think Porsche did an absolutely great job with the big tachometer right here and the round digital clusters. I think it still feels like an old 911, but you know, more up to date. Love it. Porsche, again, bring this back, please. Other things to note, if you're familiar with the old 911s, there used to be two cup holders right here on the dashboard, on the passenger side of the dashboard. You can push it and it'll come out. On this car, only one cup holder right here, right there, and you get a central one right here, which can fit this very lovely coffee. And also, you can take it out if you want, if you have like a bigger water bottle. You can put it there like so. With this one, it doesn't fit, so there's that. But still, it's a bit of a shame that we lost this. The rear seats are okay, they're big enough for children. Adults that didn't have the best growth spurt may be able to fit in the back, but otherwise, you know, you can just put your bags or whatever, your groceries in the back, it'll be fine. Plenty of space in the back, really. Overall, the interior quality is very nice. I think it's better than the Germans, the other German brands. But of course, this car costs quite a bit more than those other cars, even compared to cars with similar horsepower. But we'll talk about price a bit later on. What else? Oh, something about this car. This is so underrated, but I absolutely love the door handle in the 992. So it's flush with the panel right here. It looks really cool. And it feels really good. Like, it's so underrated. A lot of car makers, even the German ones these days, the door handle don't feel quite as nice. But in this car, it's really cool. It feels really good, and it's electronic, so it's quite effortless. And don't worry if the battery fails while you're in the car or whatever. You can just you can push it. You can pull it twice, and it'll activate the mechanical release. But yeah, honestly, love this interior. And of course, because this is a 911, you get a front trunk, and you can open it like this. I swear to God, it should be able to open.
Hold your hand, 11.
Nope, it's not opening. But in any case, you can use the key. Then you slide this thing right here, and you can fit a pretty good size backpack over here, and you still have plenty of space. So a lot of space, see? Plenty of space, no problem. So that's nice. And because that's a front trunk, that means the engine is in the back. So let's give it a look. As you can see, the 911 is powered by two computer fans. Very fast, very powerful. Love it. Honestly though, it's not a big deal. Like, I mean, I would love to be able to see the engine. But then again, I kind of get it. Oh, fun fact though, now that we're back here.
German powered.
Also, this is plastic. Not something you'll be touching a lot. That's not really a big deal, but come on, Porsche, you can do better than that. Anyway, this engine cover, you can see that it has slats right here, right? So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slats right here, 9 slats right here, and you get the 2 slats for the rear brake lights. So, you know, 9, 9, 2. Very clever, love it. Oh, now that we're back here, you can get the 911 with a rear wiper, but it's optional. In fact, a lot of things on Porsches, they don't really come standard. You know, Porsche knows how to squeeze every penny from their customer, which is fine by me. But you know, things like the rear wiper, not entirely necessary, but that's optional. The sunroof, very nice. Not entirely necessary either, but I think it makes for a better driving experience, but optional. The Porsche Comfort Entry, which is basically just Porsche fancy speak for keyless entry, that's also optional. So if you have the Comfort Entry, and you have the key with you, you know, this door handle. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does have Porsche comfort entry. Let me try that again. I'm not gonna touch it. Let me try again.
Pull it. Pull it.
No, it won't. No, it shouldn't be pulled.
Yeah.
It should just come out. There's sense. I didn't touch this. I didn't push it. But yeah, that's Porsche comfort entry. So you have the keys in your pocket. The door handle will come out, and you can just open it. Basically, just keyless entry, but that is optional. What else is optional? And other than that, there's a few more, I believe. Oh, obviously optional. Otherwise, it'll be just black. This switch right here, which I absolutely love, by the way, it feels like a race car. As I've said, you have to get the Sport Chrono package, which is obviously optional. Otherwise, you don't get this mode right here, the mode knobs. But yeah, Porsche knows how to squeeze every penny out of their customer, but honestly, as far as I can tell, it's worth it. Before we get to the price, here are a few more things to note. We ended up averaging around 9 kilometers per liter after an hour of combined driving in Jakarta's rush hour traffic after the rain. The ground clearance is good since it has a lift kit. As long as you take it somewhere reasonable, you won't run into any issues. The visibility is great, but you have to be mindful of the rear fenders as they are quite wide. So be extra careful when going through small roads and tight corners. There are ISOFIX points in the back so you can fit 2 child seats in the back, no problem at all. And the rear seats can fold down so you have a pretty large parcel shelf in the back. Now let's talk money. The 992.2 Carrera S facelift was just unveiled, so no pricing yet from Porsche Indonesia. And with this Carrera S, you can buy remaining stocks if there are any, and they are around 5.5 billion rupiah before taxes. Now, as for this test drive unit, it isn't explicitly for sale, but we reckon Porsche Indonesia is willing to let it go if you're serious, and you might get a discount because, well, it's a test drive unit. However, if you prefer the new 992.2, the base Carrera is available now for 5.8 billion rupiah before taxes, so you can expect the new Carrera S to be somewhere around 6, maybe 6.5 billion rupiah with a few nice options on it. Too expensive? Just right? We'll leave that for you to decide. I absolutely adore this car, and I know the things that I don't like about the new facelift are very trivial, but you know, they may be small changes, but small changes can add up to a big difference and an entirely different experience. And I don't really much care for the new one. I think this may be a hot take, but this may be the last great iteration of the 911. Maybe at least out of all the modern iterations, this is the greatest one. Maybe. Feel free to disagree. I know a lot of you will disagree. And feel free to disagree. In the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy my time with this car. Take care, sweeters. Bye.